4:30. We're on US 90 in Jefferson County, about 15 miles 15 miles west of Beaumont. China, Texas is to our east, and Nome, Texas is to our west. This is looking west towards Houston. We are in the eastbound lanes, looking down now towards our GPS site, 48, 41, 43. You can see our traffic data collector, the delineators for our section. You can see our crosses there. We are 100 feet past the end of the maintenance control zone for 48, 41, 43. I'm going to walk through, and this is the first section, 48B 410, and show some of the typical distresses. This section is a 60-foot joint spacing with intermediate warping joints at 20-foot spacings. None of the joints really have any the expansion joints, as they're called, have sealant in them, but it is not functioning at all anymore. You can see the weed growth in the joints, the spalling that is developing. Some of the things we'll try and point out to you as I walk through here. It's interesting to note as we measured the faults in here that here you can see a little bit of the spalling at the warping joints. Some of these joints actually slump in towards the joint itself. Lucio is showing here the lane to shoulder drop off. You can see where there is quite a bit of slump off from the lane itself towards the shoulder, which definitely makes the lane to shoulder drop off measurement somewhat suspect. We did not try and accommodate that in our measurements. We just measured them as per instructions, but it's something that we may need to address in comments to TRDF on the Distress ID manual itself. Again, you can see where these expansion joints, the joint sealant has deteriorated considerably. I don't believe that the warping joints ever had joint sealant in them. They do have a minimal amount of spalling here and there. So you can see about 2 inches there. This section, for the most part, is in pretty fair condition, aside from the occasional spalling that you see there on the inside lane, and the minimal amount of faulting, roughly 1/10 of an inch to 2/10 of an inch max, occurring at the expansion joints. The warping joints had a 1/10 of an inch max, typically 0 inches of faulting. The shoulder has been resealed here, which somewhat distorts the lane of shoulder drop off. Here Lucio is showing some of the faulting itself. You can see here about 1/10 of an inch. It's interesting to note when he passes it back on the other side of the joint that there's almost as much faulting on that side as on the lee side as the approach. It's just basically slumped down towards that joint and fades to 0 about 6 inches either side of the joint itself. Again, a fairly typical warping joint. Station 4 is directly to the north of us, looking back to the west, down towards the GPS section and towards Nome, Texas and Houston. To the south we've got a nice house back here in the trees. This then is the end of section 48B 410. I'll go ahead and shut down the camera while we walk on up to